Ascended skies, soaring to new heights and new understandings. This is the Butterfly Boy Chronicles. I'm the Butterfly Boy. Today's topic is the star Sirius, NIBIRU, and the second sun that is being seen in the sky by so many. They are all the same thing, folks. Very simply, every 26,000 years, 2 times 13,000 years, 1,000th to the chromatic octave of light and music. The sun, as you know it, the light, the UV light of this realm, and Sirius, the infrared light of this realm, found themselves in the same place once every 26,000 years at the crossing point. When these two stars, suns, power points meet, they complete each other. They are two halves. When they meet, they complete, and they double their output, like two batteries joining, or more like two supernovas. At that point, we raise our vibration. That's what all the talk is about. The new age, raising the vibration, going to a new frequency, a new world, etc. What we mean by when we say we raise our vibration in this sense is that we move up an octave, we move up one step on the ladder. So just keeping this simple, every double octave, chromatic octave of 13 equals 26,000 years. And every 2 cycles, so it's difficult to explain in words without pictures for you, but in every double cycle, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and the pictures will speak more words, of the system. So every single cycle of the sun, single cycle of Sirius, double cycle of the system, meaning one cycle of each of these joined together, making a double cycle, you jump an octave. But that's getting into a complex, what will end up in a codon, an octagonal codon, so 13 cycles of sun, 13 cycles of Sirius, which would be 26 cycles, which is about as large as you want to think about it. So other than that, there's no point. If we just reduce that back down to something that we can cope with, what we're looking at today is the phenomenon of NIBIRU Sirius, the second sun, appearing in our atmosphere, and why, and what that is doing, and what the reaction is from the deep state towards that phenomenon, and what that phenomenon means particularly to us as a consciousness, and why all the talk about the golden age, raising our vibration, entering a new world, becoming the new us, is very relevant to this subject, to this topic, to Sirius coming in at this time. We're also going to cover the zodiac deeply, but the real zodiac and what's really going on. We may have to have a part 2 going into that, but let's get on it. So, firstly, folks, I'm going to show you what we've been asked to accept so far in our lives. So far, we've been asked to accept this little chap over here. If you read it, it basically says that there's a 12 zodiac that's been sold to us, leaving off a 13th. So if you know me by now, I offer system 12 and system 13. And system 12 is always the fake, the synthetic, the artificial, the cloned, the civilized system, which is negative. It's 12. It's the slave servant system. And system 13 below, which is adding always the missing 13th from the 12th, which is always the case. Wherever you find 12, it's missing one, the 13th. So in this case, in the case of the zodiac that's been offered to you, called the Western Zodiac, with 12 signs, the 13th sign has been left off. So you're looking at it in a linear form here, the signs of the zodiac, and you can see the 13th sign has now been replaced, Serpentania or Orpheus, you know it as. And yeah, so I'm just going to show you that in a spherical form. That was a linear form. So there is, in the spherical form, as you know it, the zodiac, the 12 sign zodiac. Now obviously you can see I'm pointing out that there's something missing, because this is a closed system. When I say a closed system, it means it can be divided in half and divided in quarters. Therefore, the divide and rule policy can apply, and does in every way possible. I can show you what I mean in a picture when you have a divide and rule concept. Two halves are easy, the blue and the red, to divide and rule and send to war against each other. You can see how equally you could continue that and make 4 parts, divide and rule, fighting, or 8 parts, equal parts, dividing and ruling against. Yet if you had a 13 system, you can see that to divide and rule is impossible. You have a 13 spiral, and at this point it steps up an octave and spirals on, and steps up and spirals on, which is what I was trying to explain to you about the Sun and Sirius, and how they step up each octave at 26,000 years, which is the greater octave of this cycle, which I'm showing you here, of 13,000 years, which is half of that great cycle known as the great year of 26,000 years. The point is, when you use 13, it's a freedom chromatic octave, the octave of light. It cannot be divided and ruled because it's 13. As soon as you have 12, you can divide and rule into realities, time, let me just show you what I was referring to about realities. This is a duality. You You can see how it's divided and ruled into 6/6, being a 12 taken as a 12 clock. And of course you could divide and rule it again into 3/3, etc., down to 2/2. But on this side you have 13 colors, 13 full moons, 13 cycles, sun cycles, represented by the full moons. No way to divide and rule 13. So this is the concept of duality and reality. Getting back to the zodiacs, I'm going to show you the corrected zodiac. As you can see, we now put in Serpentania, the crossing sign, known as the crossing sign, or Serpentania, represented by a human with a serpent around them, also referred to as Orpheus. I've been eating toffee, chocolate, yum yum. Now folks, this is just part of the story. This is one perfect half. Once we've replaced the 13th missing sign, from 12 to 13, we have half the wheel. I'm going to show you what the complete zodiac looks like. And when zodiac practitioners talk of the zodiac moving one way and then moving in reverse, in retrograde, this is what they mean. This here is your zodiac. So folks, yes, your esoteric, exoteric. As you can see quite clearly folks, if you hold it up correctly for you, follow the arrows. Where do we start? Where's the Aries over here? We're starting at the beginning of your zodiac. We're moving around from Aries through Taurus and the rest of the signs, coming around, following around through the 12 signs of the zodiac, coming to the 13th sign of the zodiac, the crossing sign, Serpentania or Orpheus, then going in the same direction of flow, but in opposite direction to this. This is obviously clockwise. But yeah, after the crossing sign, we are now flowing anti-clockwise, retrograde. So you see how we flow, and then we flow in retrograde without changing direction. So nothing goes in reverse. So that's the first nonsense out the way of Western astrology and explanation. There is no reverse. Now, this is 13,000 years, folks. This is 1,000 years per cycle. This is a 13,000 year cycle. This is a 13,000 year cycle. 26,000 years, the great cycle. Just to finish this concept, this is not how this sits in the sky. This is the explanation on paper. In reality, the format needs further explanation. For those minds who are inquiring, in the real form, this circle is overlaid on this circle, yet not disconnected. In other words, just twisted around this way over there. Imagine it like a hose pipe and the water could still flow. And that continues up a spiral of great years. Equally and simultaneously, in a mirrored effect and interlocked into that, is the cycle of Sirius and the Syrian sun, because this is the cycle of our sun. For this explanation, I'm going to show you a picture that's going to look very similar to this, but I'm going to speak about our sun as this cycle and the Syrian sun as this cycle. What I'm truly referencing is this part turned overlaid, is the word, overlaid on its counterpart, and interlocking is the Syrian sun. Therefore, if they were pancakes, you would have a Earth sun pancake, a Syrian sun pancake, an Earth sun pancake, a Syrian sun pancake, an Earth sun pancake, a Syrian sun pancake. So what I'm trying to say to you is, in between this idea of moving this over and interlaying it, in between that these two first sun cycles is a Syrian cycle. Sun cycle, Syrian cycle, sun cycle, Syrian cycle. So when I talk of a sun cycle and a Syrian cycle using a similar format, that's what I'm explaining. Without further ado, and I will in a later part explain deeper, let me show you something from the laptop that will make a lot of sense to you. And help you to understand exactly what I'm saying. Let's watch this together for one moment. Here goes. Listen carefully.
Right? So he's the master God. He's the biggest star in the sky. He's the master light in our universe. And Sirius is the biggest star. It's the most brightest star in the universe. Something like 25 times brighter than the sun, and it's twice as big as the sun. So, and this is the main thing that I want to show you. This,
take note.
All the ancients believed in this. This is the Iron Age, the Bronze Age, the Silver Age, the Golden Age. And this is the sun, and this is Sirius.
Do you see the shape that I was showing you beforehand? Look at the 4 ages, folks. You see the 4 ages? Do you see the 2 ovals? Those are equal to the 2 circles I was showing you before. Do you see where they connect, called the Golden Age? The overlapping part? That form is called a versica Pisces. I will show you it in a better form in a moment, but that is the idea. The white band is our sun. The red band is the Syrian sun. Where their orbits overlap is what we are going to discuss, equal to the 2 circles I was showing you earlier. So, keeping in mind that reference to Sirius and the sun, that is kind of the format they are discussing. This crossing point is the versica Pisces that I was referring to on the laptop a moment ago. The circles crossing at the crossing point at Serpentania. Now, we have just entered this crossing point. Each one of these areas is 1,000 years, 13,000 years. This is 1,000 years. It's the 1,000 years, the 13,000 year of this cycle and the 13,000 year of this cycle shared as the crossing sign, or the link, or Serpentania, or Filius. We are entering 1,000 years of Serpentania, not Aquarius. That's false information. We are not in Aquarius, or not going retrograde back through Aquarius. We have come in this direction. Aquarius. We are not moving through Aquarius, back through Aquarius. We are moving on into Aries, but we are entering the crossing sign. Now, the reason why at this point in time there is an elevation in consciousness, a raised vibration, is because the output, the electromagnetic output, is exactly doubled by the meeting of the Sirius energy output called the Sun, Sirian Sun, and our Sun, our energy outputter. So when our Sun reaches this point and the Sirian Sun reaches this point at the same moment in time, which they do every 26,000 years, they double output and we raise our vibration and consciousness is raised. Not to the top or anything, just raised one vibration, one level, one octave, one step up the ladder. So that's what you are seeing in the sky when you see two suns right now. You are seeing our sun and the Sirian sun in the same space in the sky, in Serpentania. You are seeing Sirius, NIBIRU, the second sun. They are all the same thing, folks. Yes, they're all the same thing. The return of Jesus the Christ, the light, the truth, and the way. That's right, folks. This is your Jesus Christ. Sirius. The story is not about a man. It's about a cyclical event. The rising of the sun on the cross is not about a man. It's about a cyclical event. The dying on the cross is not about a man. It's about a cyclical event. We are talking about dark and light, day and night, circadian rhythms. I want to further your wisdom on this and show you a small formation known as the Versiga Pisces, and that formation is exactly what I've just been showing you, the center of I'm going to run out of hands soon. The center of this is a Versiga Pisces, right there. That's what we are looking at in that center. And that's what you're looking at there. They could just as well be two spheres, and they are, as two flat discs. Just get that in your head at the moment, and we'll move on shortly. So your Serpentania is the Versiga Pisces of the system, the center, the crux, the cause, the emanation of, which is why when the two lights come together, Sirius and the sun, the two suns, they emanate light. The Versiga Pisces is the emanation of light from the cell division of a void into two of itself. It creates the Versiga Pisces and the emanation of all light. Similarly in the zodiac on a smaller scale. Shown as crafted wood, you have the Versiga Pisces, the emanation of light. This is the geometry of light, the formation of light, the creator of light. This format created light. This geometry creates the logarithmic spiral which comes out of the golden mean spiral, which is the creator, which is the geometry of light, the flower of life. Now folks, this Versica Pisces, in this example right here in front of you, is acting as the orbit of our sun. Here's our sun, and our sun starts over here in Aries and orbits around through to Aquarius, and then hits its Serpentania cycle, and it's in Serpentania for 1,000 years, and then it's off around a bit. Excuse the ratio of this. While our sun is doing that, doing its little loop, playing its part, I'm going to run out of hands again, playing its part on its orbit, we have Sirius playing its part on its orbit, going in its direction, continuing, entering Serpentania at the crossing part and moving along on its orbit, and then exiting Serpentania onward. But this is the part we're interested in. So at this point we have our sun just over here in Serpentania, or just entering Serpentania, and at the same time we have the Syrian sun entering Serpentania. So these two suns at the moment, these two suns are in the same place, overlapping each other in the center of their journey. Each one of these cycles is 13,000 years. So in effect, it's 26,000 years to go around and to end up in the center together. Now let me show you that on a graph so that you can understand it a little more. If you see this as each frequency or each loop, if you see these as loops looping around in a spiral, this is a spiral going all the way down and all the way up. It looks like two spirals, one going up, one going down, but they're connected top and bottom, so it's a double helix spiral like your DNA. But if you can see these spirals spiraling up, and each spiral is 26,000 years, 26,000 years. So the red is 26,000 years. The orange is 26,000 years. The yellow is 26,000 years. The green is 26,000. You move through the colors. If you can see it that way, then you can understand what I was showing you here, that these two 13,000 year wheels that you see, these two wheels together make one 26,000 year cycle. These two together make one larger 26,000 year cycle. This piece of carpentry, this sculpture represents one cycle of 26,000 years. One sun cycle of ours, one sun cycle of Sirius, overlaid, working together as one great cycle, 26,000 years, that we know culminates every 26,000 years when the Syrian sun and our sun cross at the center point, Serpentania. Now on the graph, this is the center point, Serpentania, the void. And each one of these spirals up 1,000 years. Each one is a zodiac sign. Each frequency band is a zodiac sign. We spiral up 1,000 years, 1,000 years, 1,000, 13,000 years at the top, and then we come all the way down. So we ascend 13,000 years, we descend 13,000 years, and we're back here at the 26,000 year mark. And at the bottom, this ascend 13,000 years, descend 13,000 years, and we're back at this mark. So when we look at that as suns, Sirius and Earth's sun, they both start or meet at the same point, which is now what we're calling the solar, there's a word that's eluding me at the moment, basically the beginning of the cycle of the 26,000 year great cycle. So let's just say the Syrian sun and our sun overlap at this point. Each sun will move in its opposing directions. One will go up and one will go down for 13,000 years until it reaches the top and the bottom. And then it will come back down to the center for 13,000 years, and at 26,000 years the two suns will overlap in the center. Absolutely equal to my explanation over here of a 13,000 year cycle and a 13,000 year cycle meeting in the middle at Serpentania. So when these are seen as an electromagnetic orb, or to be more absolutely accurate, each one of these is 13,000 years. Well, that would be half an electromagnetic orb. This is a three-dimensional representation of an electromagnetic spiral according to perfect sacred geometry and the spectrum. This is a two-dimensional drawing of one of these spirals. So this would represent the red spiral, and this would represent the second part of the red spiral. Remember I said one is spiraling up and one is spiraling down. So at this point you have two red hoops crossing each other, making a cross. As one spirals down and one spirals up, they cross each other. Where they cross each other is what is represented by this point here in a minor form. So here we have spiraling up 13,000 years and spiraling down 13,000 years. That's a 26,000 year cycle, 13,000 years up, 13,000 years down. In the full cycle, you've got the same happening at the bottom, 13,000 years down, 13,000 years up. So the Syrian sun takes 26,000 years to reach the zenith of its experience and come back to the beginning. And our sun takes 13,000 years to reach the zenith of its experience and come back to the beginning, where they crisscross over each other and they raise the vibration in the octave. So I'm going to try and show you with my hands. Imagine 2 points start at the same point. Here's the Syrian sun, here's our sun, and they spiral onward 13,000 years to a zenith point and 13,000 years back to the beginning. 13,000 years to a zenith point, 13,000 years back to the beginning. And they continue this cycle forevermore, infinitely. And we are a very small part of the multitude or the octave of those 26,000 year cycles. We're just 100 years of one of the 1,000-year cycles, of which there are 26 in the 26,000 year cycle of the great year. So that is how Sirius, the star, the dog star, whatever they call it, the Sirius is working in absolute unity as a bi-system, a bipolar, a bisolar, a magnetic, meaning it has two sides, positive, negative, system. But they are absolutely like a seesaw, imperatively connected. And they function in perfect unity as a double helix spiral in an electromagnetic system, which is the basic system on a macro and micro scale, of which we are part of and are an integral part of as being a body within one of those micro electromagnetic systems known as EMO, your electromagnetic orb, of which my book, The Book of Orb, available on Amazon and in a beautiful shop in Glastonbury known as Figaro de Montriage, I think is the correct explanation. Go and check that out. And available in the beautiful island of Jersey in St. Helier from a beautiful shop called Zen. So go and check that out. Or just contact me and ask. The Book of Orb teaches many things, including your electromagnetic aura, orb, of which you are, from which you are created, of which you are a creation of. Your biology, your mind, your emotion, firstly happens electromagnetically. Your electromagnetic being, functioning through water, electromagnetic aqua being, and this is some of the explanation of how that works in this diagram in connection with your chakras, and not the 7 chakras, but the 8th that my book teaches about, known as the Book of Orb. In this explanation, there you are, the body in the electromagnetic orb, the double helix spiral, spiraling up and down, causing these crisscrosses, in my explanation here, of 13,000 years, causing these 26,000 year cycles. If you see this body as your body and your electromagnetic orb around you, your aura, you could see that on a micro scale. On a macro scale, on something larger, a larger scale, you could see that body as an elephant, you could see that body as a country, you could see that body as the earth. So this is the electromagnetic orb, the electromagnetic sphere that creates the vibration, the frequency, the schematics, the geometry for the illusion of what we call the atomic body, known as the physical body, holding the brain, which works with the emotions and the intellect, and of course the heart. Very important, not to be forgotten. So the cycles of Sirius and the sun work in perfect harmony and unity with my explanation of the electromagnetic orb. And just to take you one step further, give you a little treat, when your sun rises in the morning, it's at this level, sunrise. It's infrared. As your sun rises through the day, the frequency changes, the color changes, the tone changes, the vibration changes, the light changes. It moves up through red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, blue, violet, ultraviolet, and its white light status at midday, and then begins the same decline from white light through ultraviolet, violet, blue, which is indigo blue, turquoise, green, yellow, orange, red, infrared, black. night. That is the true frequency alteration and fluctuation of the electromagnetic orb called the sun through every single day, and repeats constantly. One wants to ask, where does the sun go at night? Well, when we complete the diagram and fill in as above, so below. As above, so below. And we have the full electromagnetic orb. Once we have the full electromagnetic orb as above, so below, and we understand that the sun moves up through the frequencies until midday and then down till night, you wonder at night if the sun just feeds the mirror of our world below. That's not to say we live on a globe. That's to say we live on two realms that are flat back to back, because space up and down are fabrications of our brainwashing. There is no up, down, left, right, forward, backwards. There is, and that's it. There just is a point, a space where you are in the now. That's it. A point in the now. Get over it. Think about it deeply, folks. Our sun and Sirius are moving on an interlocking double helix spiral, an electromagnetic orb working together in perfect harmony, creating a 26,000 year cycle known as a great year, and multiples of them. Just to complete, the reason why we're seeing two suns, NIBIRU, SIRIUS, the bright light of Bethlehem, why we are seeing this wonderful light in the sky is what I've just explained to you. It's entering Serpentania with our sun. For the next 1,000 years, we should see two suns sharing this space until they go on their ways, their separate ways again. And the connection of these two suns raises the vibration by emitting a double powered electromagnetic frequency. By joining up the Sirius sun and our sun together as one, the power is doubled, and hence the consciousness is sped up. So that's the crossing sign. This is Serpentania. This is how your Western zodiac works out with its esoteric and exoteric phases. This is how retrograde is explained, and this is the basic theoretical explanation, not the exact format as you would see it in life, but it's a beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with your electromagnetic orb to ponder. Know that the microcycles and the macrocycles are equal. These microcycles of an octave, of your chakras, of a day, are equal in the macrocycles of a year and thousands of years. In this case, the great year of 26,000 years. Folks, have no fear. All that's happening is Sirius and our sun are crossing over, and that's what you're seeing. And they'll move on their ways and continue. Have no fear. This has been the Butterfly Boy. This has been the Butterfly Chronicles. I've had the pleasure of explaining Sirius and our sun and their cycles. Thank you for listening. Namaste. Ascended skies, soaring to new heights and new understandings. Signing out.